And hello. Welcome back to the Absolute Football Podcast. We're live again on a Tuesday for the first time in quite a few weeks. It's lovely to see you all. It is the summer, so there isn't any football, but we are going to, well, there is the Club World Cup, but, you know, I said there's no football, so we'll ignore that. We've got the Premier League season review today. Very, very exciting. We've managed to get our super team on to discuss this. Of course, we've dragged them out of their summer. Everyone is dying in the heat, but we're here to go through what happened in the 24-25 season. And of course, the return of a man we've been looking forward to his return, for his views and what's happened this season. As I said to him off air, he's moved house as well. He looks like he's in a luxurious palace, not Crystal Palace, but it is Lucas. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. Just had to hide a bit from all the parades that were happening in London due to every club apart from my own winning a trophy. So now that the dust is settled, we can talk about Premier League again.
We can come out now that officially, if you go on the major websites, they've just reset everything now. Those tables have disappeared.
Now we're the league again.
Normality has been resumed, and of course, we've got the wonderful Rebecca is with us. Rebecca is back, of course, and she will get to talk about a positive Everton season. Who would have thought it? Rebecca, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, excited to talk. Well, it's a positive half season, we'll say. But we'll get to it.
Yeah. When I did go back and when I was looking at a bit of research, there was some pretty stinky early moments that were a bit rough for you. But as you said, it got better. As the season goes on. So isn't that bad?
One of them will be mentioned with the first team that we end up talking about.
Yes, I'm sure we will, because we are going to go from bottom to top tonight. We're going to go flip it around, and that's the way we're going to do. But it's not just us, it's the brilliant people we have in the chat. Sean's here video printing for us with what's going on in the Club World Cup. Benfica won, Bayern 0, Auckland 0, Boca 132. Yeah, Auckland City have been struggling, to be fair. An amateur side have been struggling over in the Club World Cup. Spenny fan Chris is here, evening, you beautiful people. Charles reposted the stream. There we go. That's new. I've never seen that come up before, so I thought I'd stick it on. Graham says, good evening. Smith and Chris, no meaningful football, Sam. Paul is here as well. Evening, all just finished a Premier League kebab. Well, there you go. Is that an official Premier League kebab? Simon is here. Evening to you, Simon, and hello to Doug as well. All going on. Everybody is here. Very excited to get going. I just want to share with you a story I had from the weekend, actually. I did a bit of football managing, real life football managing on Sunday. I managed a charity football match, Lucas. All the years of football manager finally came to fruition. And I had the fateful football manager. I was 2-0 down in 20 minutes, and both my centre-backs came off with injuries. So I did the only thing that you could do in that situation, which was put my other centre-back up front, and we won 9-6. I went for the
lovely
target man, long ball. We played off of him. I got my attacking players in. Worked a treat.
Football manager players proud there. While you're talking about football manager, it's not quite related to Football Manager, but I think it'll be a very good save. This happened 40 minutes ago announced, but Lyon have been relegated. Have you seen this? For financial reasons.
Wow. Actually, dugouts, but they said Lyon have been relegated.
There you go.
There we are.
That is absolutely insane.
Relegated for financial issues.
Yeah, they're appealing it, but I think they owe $500 million.
Whoa.
That's a lot of money.
That is massive, because I know Bordeaux did the other season, didn't they? And everyone was on about Bordeaux being the same because they went down a couple. But for Lyon, that's
Lyon in League Two. That's like Juve back in, although Juve were probably better at the time. But in terms of stature of club,
Harry Maguire actually killed them, didn't he? Yeah, he's actually killed them as a club. That's absolutely mad. Well, that's breaking news. There you go. Lyon relegated to League. What's that mean for their women's teams? Their women's team are massive, aren't they, as well? Is that? Or are they run separate? Like 508 million euros, Danny talks to Dennis. Cool. I'm just going to find that under the sofa. Oh, yeah, that's big trouble. That is big trouble. So we won't be seeing Lyon in European competitions or Ligue 1 next season. That means that we're going to have a new team to talk about in our European roundups. That who knows? Maybe they're up it as we go. Live reactions coming in. Our informative chat, of course. Spenny fan Chris says Lyon been relegated as they racked up massive 500 million in debt following a meeting with the DNCG. The National Management Control Dictator. Oh, wow, that's crazy. And Everton didn't get a points deduction for it either, Rebecca. That's what's the most.
Not yet, at least.
Oh, not yet. It's just filtering its way through. But talking,
minor.
yeah, they're just holding it for next season. But talking of relegation, we'll start with the relegated sides from this year's Premier League, and of course, a side that did really struggle. Southampton, we're going to start with Southampton and the season review for Southampton. As you can see there, 1 win at home and 1 win away. That totals 2 wins. That's not enough. That's a problem. They were relegated after 31 matches. Russell Martin, of course, shown the door in December. They ended up with Ivan Juric. He didn't last long either. His 18-month contract didn't see the full 18 months, that's for sure. They struggled to score 4 goals. Paul Onuachu, their top goal scorer, defensively was a shambles. They continued to make mistakes. Lucas, the writing was on the wall pretty early for Saints. I think it's fair to be said.
One of the worst Premier League teams I think I've ever seen this season. It was bad. It was really bad. And I like Southampton, but it was bad. And yeah, I mean, nothing went right for them. They definitely had financial issues from what I know going up, which is why they couldn't spend as they were. So they were kind of doomed from the beginning, but yeah, like 2 wins all season is crazy. Yeah, consistently bad, but consistent. Yeah, shining light is probably Devlin. That's it. And even that, you're really clutching at straws there.
It's a pretty rough. It was a pretty rough. I say for the whole of that 11. Ramsdale, I suppose, did okay, didn't he? But again, he'll probably earn himself a Premier League move. Yeah, a couple of half, but they all made so many. That early part of the season, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake. It was just absolutely suicidal. It just didn't work. I mean, Graham says there is a positive, impressive symmetry for their home and away.
Yeah, has that ever been done before? Maybe they got the record.
It must be a record. I think actually it may. Actually, I think there's another team that might have the same. I'm sure when I was going through there might be another one.
And draws and losses home and away.
I think so. I think it's pretty close. As you said,
not even a home advantage in anything. Either wins or draws. Just literally, yeah, it's bad.
It's just absolutely nothing. So knowing quite a few Southampton fans, it was depressing. They just had enough by the end. They're buzzing for the championship. It's literally like they've been promoted this season. That's how they're feeling going into just to watch some football where they might compete. I think, but
negative 60 goal difference. Oh.
Yeah, that is pretty horrific from Southampton. The writing was on the wall. Rebecca, you wanted to add something about Southampton? They did get a win, though, didn't they? Who was that against?
It was against us. They had 2 wins, all like as you said, 2 wins all season. 1 against us, and the other one was against Ipswich. So you are welcome, Southampton.
The 3 points that wasn't anywhere near enough. I mean, they did get past the Derby record in the end, but they're the earliest sides. Is it the earliest side to be relegated? 31 matches. Yeah, I think they were. Just mad. Not a lot else I think we can say about Southampton apart from we won't be seeing you next season. That's for sure. Another side that we won't be seeing next season either. Ipswich Town, of course, they had that meteoric rise through League One and the Championship came up. I think everybody knew it was going to be a tough ride for them, going to be difficult. They struggled at home. That was the problem. They didn't put enough points on the board at home. 3 away wins isn't too bad. If they'd have had a decent home run, you were right. Liam Delap was a good signing for them and has obviously now been picked up by Chelsea because of his form. Rebecca, just too much for them. They spent a lot of money, but just didn't have the quality, did they?
No, they give it a good go. When I've been looking at the table, especially like earlier on in the season with Everton and up to Christmas, they were within a fighting chance. They were up and about, but they just couldn't find the way out of the bottom 3, unfortunately. But yeah, it wasn't their season. I mean, their story is incredible to say what they were able to do, and hopefully we will see them back in the Prem soon. But I do feel as though it's like these are going to be one of the yo-yo teams of maybe not being able to be up to it to be able to get in. But in saying that, I do love Nathan Broadhead. So seeing him relegated is heartbreaking because he's such a talented player, and I'd have him back at Everton at any chance. But he will be hopefully one to look out for again in the Championship and maybe see him back in the Prem.
Yeah, and so they've got a good core squad there that you'd think that they might be able to keep together and see where that takes them. And I like the fact they've kept hold of McKenna as well. It wasn't kind of they threw everything at it and now they've got to restart again. So, you know, they hope to be in a decent place with parachute payments, etc., coming their way too. They conceded, I think, a lot of set pieces when I was looking, and seemed to be they used to lose possession and then get struggle. But I also saw that they would have had another 22 extra points if they hadn't dropped winning positions. They scored first in a lot of games, but just couldn't hold on. Lucas, what do you make of Ipswich?
Yeah, I agree. I think at the beginning of the season they were quite exciting. They were like they were almost like swapped places with Luton from the season before. Like a team that is completely out of its depth, but really exciting. Like tried something new a bit with the way they were playing. They were attacking at times, but I think they kind of almost just like, I wouldn't say gave up is harsh, but they kind of like realized how out of their depth they were at some point. And there were certain games where they were in the games and they almost held back a bit. Like even when they played us, we were only up by like 1, and we did our usual thing where we just retreated and gave Ipswich the ball, and they would just like didn't take shots at certain when they could have taken certain shots, and it was very sort of like almost a little bit afraid or like I said, out of their depths in certain games. I think too many of them happened, and eventually it was just, you know, they were 12 points behind Wolves. Like whilst Wolves was still bad, they had an option to kind of keep things going, and then when Wolves got the new manager and went on that 5-win run or whatever it is, and just the gap widened, it was over by then, even with like, you know, win against Spurs and things like that. So I like them in the beginning, but I think it was the same thing. I think McKenna didn't take enough risks. You said that they spent a lot of money, and look at that team. You're like, what did they spend it on?
Exactly.
So that was very good, but that was a signing the season before, wasn't it?
They picked him up, hadn't they? And you look at like players there, and like Smodic had been brilliant for Blackburn, but again, Championship kind of proving he did bits for Ipswich. I don't think he's a player maybe, but you always look at teams that go down and think, who are you taking out of that if you're coming up or and you're outside of the lap? You're not, are you? I think
they're all going to stay in Championship, which kind of it says it, doesn't it? Like the teams that went down struggle against the next one, but it's like you said, that's a good barometer is how many of their players get snapped up instantly when they get relegated. And the last couple of seasons, you're looking at like 2 or 3 max across all of them to other Premier League sides. So like that went straight away, and that's it. All the rest of them, I don't really see it. And as a, you know, that's not a team that's business that was going to stay up. So it's unfortunate for them, but I think they can still be competitive if they keep their players in the Championship. Maybe we'll see them again.
Yeah, and they've got a fair bit of money as well going down, obviously, with Delap. And Sean asked, just with Delap to Chelsea, is he going to make the Chelsea first team? I think he's a number to their squad. I mean, he seems to be going in at the Club World Cup, doesn't he? But
yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of football next season, especially if you've off the back of the World Cup, and then there's a World Cup coming up, so the players are going to have that in the back of their head. There's going to be pressure from the nations on players to like be rotated in certain points and things like that. So Chelsea got Champions League, like he's going to get loads of minutes in that team. Jackson is like, I don't think Jackson's position is solidified to the point where if Delap's playing well, they're going to drop him just because it's Jackson. There's no way. Delap's scoring goals in that team, he starts, and I actually think he's going to do very well for them.
He's a good shot. I mean, to score 12 goals in that Ipswich team,
yeah,
you know.
And usually when you've got a striker, I think it is like defense. I don't think defense keeps you like. Obviously, you know, you can't get battered, but I think having a goal scorer is what keeps you up in the Premier League. And Delap was showing signs like close. I think if he crosses that 15 mark, a couple others chip in, you can stay up. It can win you games, but it just was enough. I mean, they just conceded way too much on top of that. But usually that's a great start. If you've got a striker who makes the cross from Championship to Prem and can score goals in the Prem, you have a decent chance of staying up.
So, and he did give him a chance, as you said. But the gap was just too much in terms of the quality. So sadly, Ipswich will be going down as well. And the third team to be joining them was the other team that came up with them. It was an up and down this season. Leicester City, which, funny enough, with this one, I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask AI why the reasons were that Leicester City went down. To go ChatGPT, and the key 3 things it gave me was controversial decisions such as Harry Wink's exclusion, and Yannick Vestergaard brought his dog to training. So, okay, yeah, that's a big no. That's really derailed their season. So outside of that, Lucas, what went wrong for Leicester?
Outside of that, again, just look at the squad. Also, they've got a few players that were here the last time. Like, more than half of that team got relegated the last time, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. If they come up again with Wout phase, then
Mari, Vardy, Mavididi was there. Like Christensen was there as well, I think. So it's again, like, I don't know. I think they have financial issues or something, but they did before they got bought out again, didn't they? So it's just not a good enough team. Like Jamie Vardy being your striker, like 36-year-old Vardy, he still scored 9 goals. Like, fair play, but I mean, that's madness. It's absolute madness. I don't think they scored. Weren't they the lowest scoring team in the league?
They were the lowest scoring, and they went on a run. Didn't they go on that run of, was it, I'm trying to think how many games it was. They didn't score, did they, for like 9 consecutive home games? That was it. 9 consecutive home games. It's a joke.
Ridiculous. So, just look at the 3 teams, and the squad building is just not there for teams to stay up in the Premier League. Like, regardless of what the reason was, whether, it was a situation they couldn't have helped, they just didn't have the squads to compete. I mean, we're going to jump up to the next team and look at, and you're going to see it's night and day, like with the squad. So,
this is
here
true.
we go. Now let's get into it.
We will certainly see it. The chat said Rod shouldn't have taken charge, fish out of water, and Simon says Leicester have never replaced Casper Schmeichel. Yeah, I say we'll give you a chance, Rebecca. The squad's just not enough, was it, for Leicester?
No, like Lucas has covered, having a lot of the same players from last time, it just doesn't help. And I think they have been under some punishment next season for the dreaded letters of FFP. So I do think that has hit them quite a bit. But then it's also, I just don't think they had the squad to be able to compete. In saying that, I'm trying to think if they beat us, but I'm not sure. So if they did, then
it's tough. They got their six wins. Seems a lot. I don't remember Leicester winning 6 games. That seems a lot, actually. But as Lucas says, now you get the kind of step up to the Europa League champions. I mean,
I'm like top scorer. What is that right?
Apparently, scored 11. But goal scoring wasn't the problem, was it? It was the defensive kind of shambles. We'll park the Europa League for a minute because that kind of changes the narrative so much for Tottenham. But 17th place, with that list of names that they have there, it's abysmal. There's no other way of looking at it.
Absolute madness, isn't it? I mean, you know what? Yeah, it's still. Their one was definitely like, there's a mix of things. They're not going to be as bad next season, regardless of who's in charge. Like, even if it wasn't Thomas Frank, but they do have a slight claim to injuries wreck their season. Spurs, if any team can claim injuries, Tottenham are the only one with the closest right to claim that. Okay, it's not asked, because I'm pretty sure I saw a stat. Romero and Van de Ven played like what? Wasn't it like 11 games they played together the whole season? And some of those were off the bench. So you look at that team as like Vicario was out for what, 2-3 months when they had like, was it Forster for a little bit, and then they bought that guy in Jan. Doggy was out for like 2-3 months. Van de Ven was out for like 4. Romero was out for like 4. Romero was out twice, I think. Pedro Porro, I think, was fit for pretty much most of the season, but he was awful. Bentancur got injured twice again. Maddison was out for most of it. Kulusevski was out for like 3 months. Solanke was out for a couple of months. Son was in and out of injury, plus his like aging. Like, that whole first 11 was riddled with injuries, and then you go for the bench, it was like Richarlison. So I think injuries did hurt, and his refusal to, adapt his tactics in the league. And then at some point they were just focus on the Europa League. Like, it is what it is. Like, don't even bother by then. But 17th is still unacceptable regardless of injuries for Tottenham Hotspur. Like, they've got the newest stadium in the league now, outside of Everton. So, and they charge the highest ticket prices. Like, it's madness.
This is it. It's absolutely mad. And there's some sympathy for Ange in the chat. So, many fans says Paul Ange. Simon says feel sorry for Ange. Wins Spurs a trophy the first time in a million years and still gets the sack.
It's against club policy.
That's what he said. He said, "How dare you?
Yeah.
You know, you made a statement and you kept to it." But I think this was it because the three relegated teams were so far away. And we saw it, and I'm sure we'll come to it with the team that finished in 15th as well. Like they just sat. There was just no threat coming from underneath. So at that point was just kind of threw the towel in, and were pathetic in a number of games. It was just ticking games off at the end of the season. So it really was. Man. Paul says, he agrees. Genuine mitigation for Ange on the injury front.
20 losses. I mean, at least draw some get 20. Is that 20 loss? That's the most any team has had in the league that didn't get relegated.
Yeah. First time.
That's the highest, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, entertainment, and gave us entertainment. I mean, goals going in at both ends. There is no doubt.
It was a freak season when you look back at it. I didn't even realize, like, when we're going to look back on this season, we're like, what the hell was going on?
We're going to look at a couple of years and go, this is going to be one of the most bizarro seasons.
It really is, yeah.
But Rebecca, obviously, Andrew's now got the sack. We said all season was a case of when's this happening? And they kept going in the Europa League, and they kept going like the little engine that could. And they got over the line in probably the worst final I've ever watched. And I was invested in it, so God knows how it was for a neutral, because it was pretty poor from watching it with a dog in a race. But so Andrew's gone. Thomas Frank's in. How do you make it of Tottenham winning the Europa League, sacking Ange, Thomas Frank? It's all a lot to take.
Yeah, I feel as though everyone's already got the Thomas Frank sacked tweet ready for either in January or at the end of the season, because it just seems to be the exact same cycle that just happens over and over again with Tottenham at the minute. It is a really odd one. I mean, like, you look at their league position, I don't think any one of us predicted Tottenham anywhere near 17th. As I said in a previous podcast, I do just wish that there was more of a fight at the bottom of the table, because that would have just made this season incredible, of the fact that Tottenham could have been relegated at half-time and then Ipswich were the ones that sent them down. If something random like that could have happened. But it's just a really odd one. Like Lucas said, the injuries haven't helped. If they can try and keep players fit as possible next season under Thomas Frank, it could help, but Tottenham are just Tottenham, and I think that's the only way that you can describe them at this point, and with the season that they've had.
Yeah, this is it. It was very, very, very Tottenham. More of a positive note. Dreety's in the chat. Dreety, thanks for joining us at a very weird time of the Premier League table that we're going through. So yeah, Thomas Frank, Lucas. I like Thomas Frank, but I get the feeling it's another one with the setup at Brentford. He's really analytical. He's kind of got that club sort of behind him. Do you see this as, like Rebecca said, the same cycle again, or is he the man to change Tottenham's fortunes?
It's a really tricky one. I'm not really sure. I think they've got the players to play a better style of football, that's for sure. In terms of, but I mean, Ange's football wasn't even that bad. It was more so just adapting to certain games, which Frank has shown for many years at Brentford. He's been able to do that. So I think I wouldn't even say there's like a huge rebuild to go on here. There's a few pieces they've got to get right in the summer. But yeah, I think their ceiling is still top 7, top 8 with Frank. So that's what they should be aiming for. And I mean, it's an improvement of this year. I just wouldn't put any pressure on them to keep going. And they've got Champions League to deal with as well. So yeah, it's hard to say how Tottenham will do. I think there's still the backbone of a very good side there. They just need a couple. They've got it wrong in a few windows now, which they need to really get right.
Yeah, they need the recruitment, particularly with what Frank's going to want to do. Simon says Thomas Frank going to Spurs has to be about money, because he probably could have had a job at Brentford as long as he wanted. Yeah, but I also think, again, like, okay, Brentford have been fantastic in terms of what they've achieved, haven't they? But it's ambition probably as well. He knows that Tottenham are going to want to sort of push through. This is probably the best time to take charge of a team that was considered top 6, should we say? Obviously, wouldn't say that at the minute, but you can kind of see it's probably to bring them out of it. Champions League next year, wants to kind of manage and step up. So, and he's been at Brentford for quite a while. So yeah, and he may well regret it in a bit to come. But if he can do something with Tottenham, as you said, Lucas, if he gets them to like 8th next season and he's safe, he's it's progression, isn't it? Next season's kind of as long as he doesn't flipping tank the league like Ange did. No one's expecting them to do anything in the Champions League. Maybe have a run in the cups. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Literally.
So next up, we have as well someone who changed managers mid-season from Heather's favourite, Gary O'Neill, left. The Wolves were pretty turgid at that point. And Vitor Pereira came in really quietly. No one really talked a lot about him and did a pretty decent job on Wolves, to be fair, in the second half of the season. They had a 6-game winning streak at one point, which was Wolves' longest ever in the Premier League. They'd won just one of their first 16 games, when you then consider they ended up with 12 wins. That was it. Wolves, look at that symmetry in the home and away. That was it. I knew I saw another team that had done it. Wolves had smashed it. He switched the formation around. Strand Larsen sort of scored goals for them as well, as well as Cunha. Someone should snap him up. He's quite a good player. I think it'd be a good signing for someone. But Rebecca, I'll start with you with Wolves. Definitely a case of new manager changed everything, really, didn't it?
Yeah, their turnaround this season was incredible. I mean, they were struggling massively defensively as well. And where they were sitting around Christmas, which I think everyone uses as like the talking point of the season, they were in relegation and they were trying to fight the way out of it. But Pereira coming in, the turnaround in that side was incredible. The goals that started being scored as well. It was like a new Wolves in the league that we started to see.
Yeah, it was. And they were much more interesting to watch under Pereira as well. I mean, they lost last season. Lucas, looking at their outs, say Kilman went out of defence, Pedro Neto going. But then they had João Gomez and Andre seem to sort of pull up a bit of a partnership in midfield towards the end of the season. But obviously now they've lost. Cunha's gone to United. Nori's gone to Manchester City. Interesting to see what this guy does in the transfer market. Now he's got a bit of a run at it.
Yeah, so they probably made a bit of money from those two deals, haven't they? But they're not a club who spends big. They reinvest it and inspire a load of they shrewd youngsters around Europe. But I mean, they've got to sort out the defense, and yeah, that's a big gap in their attack with those two. Those are their two best attacking / creative players in the whole team, is Nori and Cunha. So that's a massive gap. But they said Larsen, if they can keep him scoring goals and sort of build it around him to feed him, then they should be all right. But the defense, there's a lot of work for them to do in the window. Otherwise, I think they probably are one of the teams in the relegation battle in terms of odds for next year. And I think the teams coming up is going to be tougher than it was last year with those three. Maybe not Sunderland, but Leeds and Burnley potentially. Although Sunderland, they've got heritage and history, so in the Premier League, so we'll see. But yeah, Wolves have got to do some business. They should really be snapping up a few Premier League fringe players.
Yeah, if they can get that right, then they'll be. And so he's now had that kind of experience, I think, of having that half season. You said the gap's just massive. I was talking to Ant, our Sunderland fan, about it the other day, and it's just kind of like who you've got to be looking at who you're picking off if you're coming up. Who are you picking off? And you've got to. You look at last season, you'd have looked at Wolves, you'd have looked at Everton. You ain't picking.
Emily Johnson in the chat said, have Liverpool's men been talked about yet? Well, we're going from bottom to top, so I can assure you we haven't got there yet. However, we have to in place.
I thought it was just my headphones for a second.
I think am I back? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
There we go. I thought I just turned my mic off so I didn't have to talk about Man United. That didn't work.
Trying to run.
Oh boy. Very. How do you summarize this?
Diabolical.
The only thing I can say, and I always preface this with like, I appreciate, because we've got a lot of people on the podcast in the lower leagues who like have their clubs struggling and their existence. So I completely get you. The two things are not comparable, etc. But from the context of a Manchester United fan for Manchester United, that was the worst season by far in my lifetime. They were awful. That everything about the club was awful. All the noises coming out, all the decisions that were being made stunk, and it was like ripping the heart out of the club behind the scenes. We had the only bit of positivity was when Amorim came in, and you were like, I like what he was saying, and everyone was buying into that. But then he's got a system that we can't play with the players that we've got. That no matter how, once we got through that December period, we were told there was no training going on, so we'll get to it. You're still kind of towards the back end of the season going, what's going on? Absolute mess across the entirety of the season. Absolutely poor. And Simon, of course, is enjoying it in the chat, but I'm here defending it. You were nowhere when Coventry got knocked out of the playoffs, so at least I'm here to back it through. Lost more than they won at home, conceded more than they scored at home. The system's not working. There's so many issues with the players. The starting with Ten Hag and then having to get rid of him didn't help. So many different things. And then the one chalice that you had, the one moment that might just have got you through the Europa League, you then go and lose it to Tottenham in the worst final ever. However, the only thing is that now doesn't paper over the cracks, and they have to go and do something this summer. But I think it's safe to say nobody, Lucas, have Manchester United 15th in their predictions this season.
No, this was, like you said, the worst season in definitely in our lifetimes, that's for sure. But I mean, just look at the state of that squad. Like, it's bad. It's fixable, but it is bad. It's not worse. Like, you look at this and then you look at Spurs and you're like, Spurs can come back quite quickly. You guys are in.
There's lots to be done, isn't there?
There's a lot to be done, and you've just done Cunha so far, haven't you?
They've done Cunha. There's still talks on Embuemo. It's outs. The problem they've got is outs. Is getting rid of.
You've got to sell before.
Yeah, sell before you can then go out and buy. And there's players that you could get fees for. I mean, like Garnacho's going to you're probably going to get 30, 40. The Højlund you'd hope to kind of get rid of. I mean, funnily enough, in that football game I was managing at the weekend with the striker that started, I was thinking this is how Amorim feels, because he didn't touch the ball in 20 minutes and he couldn't. I'm thinking this must be how it is to play without a striker.
Bad, yeah.
They turned down the Fernandes one. Was interesting because there was some big money coming in from Saudi prior Club World Cup that they turned down, and obviously felt that they can sell these players and do what they need to the squad. But it's a 3-4 window job, isn't it? And I'm not convinced now that Amorim's gonna be there much longer. If the start of the season is bad,
he'll be gone.
So he's got rid of all of the good grace. Has gone. It's gone with this. So. And I like him, and I want it to work for him, but it's just
it's not good enough. Like, I'm sorry, like he needs his players and all of that. Like, to an extent, if you're talking about potentially winning a league or challenging on all fronts, yes, but you're still a coach. You coach whatever's in front of you. Like, if you're a world-class coach and at that level, you have to coach the players that you've got. And he just kind of skipped that and went straight to the system that he wants to play. And it's not saying like rip it up, but there's got to be a medium. Like, you can't be finishing 15th as Man United, regardless of the personnel you've got there. But I think it looks like some of these sales are going to happen pretty quickly. I think the big three ones are Garnacho, Rashford, and Højlund. If you can get money for all three of those, getting Rashford off the wage bill is huge in itself, because I think what they say, you can probably sign 3 players
off of Rashford. Well, the other one as well is Anthony's on big money, and because he started to play like a dream over at Real Betis, there's some buyers for him potentially as well. So you're never going to get what you spent on him, but again, he's another big earner that you
bring him back and try and get those performances over here in this system, because he went out before. You've also got Sancho coming back, who another one you might want to sell. But in saying that, could Sancho potentially be a bit better in this system? But is it just past? I think Sancho's probably more than Anthony one, where I'm like, it's just call it a day. Like,
I think it's gone too far with Sancho, isn't it? Yeah.
Anthony, there might be some saving grace in the system, but yeah, you've got assets which I think other clubs are going to want. So I do think you'll be able to sell and shift quite a few of these and get some money in. But you got to move quick. Like, we'll go on to Arsenal, I'm sure, when we get there, but you guys have got to move quick and start getting some of these pieces in. I think Cunha and Mbeumo to start off is great. The front three of Cunha, Mbeumo, and Bruno Fernandes is quality.
Yeah, and you start to think like the chances that we did create in these last season. You start to add that in, then you go, okay, well that's then suddenly you're finishing the chances you were. That can quite easily jump you up. I think as Emily says here, like mid-table, like next season is just a case of getting top four is not a thing really. I think it's just getting that stability and really taking pressure off. They need a start. That is for sure. Yeah. Hello to Jen. Our lovely Jen is in the chat. It was lovely to see Jen. And Simon says, serious, I'm one of the good United fans who understands the clubs are a lot worse than. Thank you, Simon. I do appreciate that. I try. I did see some completely overreactions from United fans at the end of last season, but there it is. So yeah, Rebecca, it wasn't good. It was. It's fun being a podcaster when your team's doing that. That's for sure. Which you can sympathise with because you had it last season with Everton. Is there a way back?
Yeah, but you can't have David Moyes.
Can't have David Moyes. Well, at least we're not after Jared Branthwaite this summer, so.
Yeah.
For now.
For now. He ain't going anywhere. No. No offence, it has been quite enjoyable for me to see this, like see a different team in 15th, because that has just been the place that we've been sat. But no. Hopefully for you there is a way back. I think next season you will be looking at maybe 10th just to try and regroup, rebuild. Like you've covered, see what money you can get for certain players as well will be key to see if you can reinvest.
I'm having some trouble with my mic. I don't know if you can hear me at the minute. Bear with me.
No, good.
Is that all good?
It's gone again.
Yeah, I hope so too, Rebecca. I hope so too. We'll get there. We hope we get there. Right, what else have we got? We've got Emily says at this rate, I think this decade for Man United's men's than the 90s were for Liverpool men's. Yeah, it's pretty rubbish, and Liverpool being at the top of the table doesn't help either. But hey, it is what it is. It's done now. It's over. Don't have to talk about last season anymore. Right, next. If I stick it up there, because I'm not sure if anyone can hear me. Does somebody want to talk about West Ham while I try and fix my mic?
I'm just sitting inside.
West Ham.
What is there to say?
I mean, yeah, like, what is there to say? I mean, just look at that squad as well. Although I would say Wan-Bissaka was actually a good signing. He was probably one of their better players this season next to Bowen. Tony obviously had the car incident, but he's going to be okay. But he missed a good chunk. The business in the summer wasn't good outside of Wan-Bissaka. What was it? Fulkrug, waste of money. Evan Ferguson, what the hell? And like, who's the other guy they signed? The football manager kid. Like that just didn't work out in the end either. So I think West Ham have got to be very careful. I'm also not really sure on Graham Potter at West Ham. Not really sure on Graham Potter as a whole at the moment. Outside of he looked good at Brighton, but this is I don't think he's doing himself any favors right now. Sam fixes mic is hilarious. But I do like Jared Bowen. I wish he would move to a better club. He's happy there. He's from the academy, I think, as well. He's an East London boy. Like he's scoring goals. He's playing well. He's getting in and around the England team. It just about, but he's quality. I think he could play for a top side. But yeah, I think West Ham needs to be very, very careful. I would not be surprised if they get dragged into a situation with Wolves as well next season. Like they've got to have a good summer, and they've spent money as well, West Ham, in the last few years. So they just haven't really done it right. So they're on the fringes of getting dragged into a relegation fight.
Can you hear me now, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me right. Yep. We've ditched this mic because it's not working a minute. Because I think my daughter's taken this lead to work with her tablet and has bent it. So I think that's where the problem's coming from. So we're going the old school laptop mic. We're back. Yeah, West Ham, funny one. I'm not with you, Lucas. I'm not sure the Potter thing's working. No. It looked to be a bit more functional, but and again, like, okay, this is now he gets a chance to make the side his own over the window, but Wan-Bissaka was half decent for them. Bowen's still excellent for them. Phil as well. Antonio's still out, isn't he? Like, he had that horrific car crash. Like, that you sort of forget that kind of got brushed under the carpet a bit, didn't it? With that they lost him for so much of the season.
Hasn't he been released by him now? Or have I misread something? I thought I saw he'd been released.
No, he's in rehabilitation. He's in physio for rehabilitation. So I think he very quickly, to be fair, considering the state of the car when I saw the image, but. He's going to be all right. I think he'll be back for the beginning of the season.
Magic, hopefully so. But yeah, West Ham a funny one. It just didn't work, did it, with Lopetegui? That didn't happen at all.
We got to talk about that.
That was a mess, wasn't it? Like,
that man is stealing a living, Lopetegui.
He stunk the place out twice now in the Premier League, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think
they pulled the trigger at the right moment. Although annoyingly, I did have, don't gamble, kids. I did have a little bit of money on him being the first one to be sacked. And guess who got sacked? Thanks a lot, Man United. All you had to wait was a couple of weeks. I would have been laughing.
Turgid start, you see, coming back to haunt everybody. The ones I forget about Ten Hag as well. Like, oh god, yeah, it's just positives everywhere. But yeah, Lopetegui, so good. I didn't even put him on the graphic. That's how much I rated the first half of his season. He didn't even make it. But Rebecca, the time is here. Finally, we're here. The dizzy heights after seasons of turbulence for Everton. A season of two halves. Sean Dyche out, David Moyes in, and it all skyrocketed from there. Tell us about Everton's season.
Yeah. It was a season of two halves. You had the Dyche bit and then the Moyes bit, and one was significantly better than the other. But no, it was a really tough start to the season. We were hit massively with points and everything season before, and I do feel as though that is what drained Dyche, and that did impact our first half of the season. It took us 6 matches to be able to get our first win. So it came near the end of September. There were 2 consecutive matches where we were 2-0 up and then got beat 3-2. Which, how on earth we did that, I still do not know. As I've mentioned, we got beat off Southampton, which was just the high point for us at that point. It was just a case of, right, here we go. We're getting dragged back into what we'd seen as hell for the past few seasons. Everyone, fan-wise, was calling for a change because it just got stale, it got dull, and it was one of them where players who we wanted to be played weren't being played, like Jake O'Brien. And then the timing of sacking Dyche was one of the most random things for us because it was a few hours before the FA Cup match. So we'd taken training that morning, everything was still set for him to be manager for that night, and then they announced, let's have Seamus Coleman and Leighton Baines as managers against Peterborough, which I think was every Everton fan's dream. So I'm surprised they haven't made your little manager's graphic. I'm quite upset about that. I was
running out of space with all your managers during the season.
But yeah, it was one of them where you're thinking at Christmas, we either make this change now or we're going to end up dragged back into it. We waited until January. Then we got David Moyes back, and along with that, we got Everton back. And I think that was the best thing that could have happened. It did feel like we were losing what we knew as Everton, and the fans had turned, and especially with it being such a significant season of the last one at Goodison, we just wanted everything to sort of fall into place towards the end. And our turning point was definitely. The way Moyes got the team playing, the players that he inherited off Dash, but he was happy enough to play. Jake O'Brien being one of them. I don't know how many times I've mentioned him on the podcast of getting him to play or just the way he's been playing, but he was a standout for us. Going on a 9-game unbeaten run when Moyes first came in, we did get beat off Villa his first match, but then we just went on an incredible run, which was unfortunately ended by Liverpool. It just had to be. We'll all remember the 2-2 Merseyside derby as well, which I think was every Everton fan's highlight of the season because we celebrated that goal like it was a win, but it was great, but no. It was an enjoyable second half of the season. Illiman and I, just quickly on him, the best signing we have had for a while. Absolutely incredible. He did have an injury mid-season, which was really unfortunate, and we did massively miss him, but he was so good for us. The goals he was scoring, the assists he was getting, he is one where next season, full season under Moyes, hopefully no injuries, it will just be an incredible season for us. And I think everyone is saying, and I know Everton fans were always a bit out there and a bit over the top when it comes to predictions, especially the one good season under Ancelotti when we were running off thinking we'd won league, and we were only in September. But a lot of fans, we are hoping for a top 6 finish and maybe even hopefully pushing for Europe. And I do feel like we have the squad to be able to do that. We're not losing many at the moment, and we are looking at bringing a few players in. The only one I can say, and no offence to him, please don't sign Kyle Walker. please don't. Please.
You like aging right backs, don't you, at Everton? It seems to be a trend.
Kyle Walker.
I don't know why. When we have a young right back who has sat on the bench for quite a bit of the season, well, since he signed for us, really, he's never really had the chance to get into the squad of Nathan Patterson. Let him have a go. We don't need all of these nearly 40-year-old right backs. We have a young right back that we can play. But yeah, we've been linked with him. I think we've been linked with everyone, to be honest. Jack Grealish on a loan as well will be interesting, especially with us losing Jack Harrison because he's back at Leeds now because we've had him on loan for 2 seasons.
It's some interesting transfer stuff starting to come out, and Ashley Young as well is now the oldest player to ever have been sent off in the Premier League this season at 39 years. And I think I will take from Everton this season, particularly the first half of the season, was the panic in the group chat from Rebecca when Everton never went 2-0 up in the first half of the season, because they obviously had the crazy collapse against Bournemouth early on, and it was just the panic of being 2-0 up was something else. But Lucas, it looks like I feel like you're kind of getting Everton back now. This seems to be with Moyes there. It's deja vu. I just think that they're a solid outfit again.
Yeah, I think there's definitely signs. I just don't know with Moyes long term. I think Everton should be looking at the next step here. I think Moyes is a good stopgap. Get things back on track. Get the crowd behind the team again, but we've seen this story so many times. If he sticks around, they're gonna drop. It's just inevitable. I think they've really got a nail who this next manager is going to be with Everton. But I just don't think having Moyes there long term makes sense. But we'll see. But the team, some good players there. I think the centre back pairing, Mikalenko, Pickford, defensively, he's shown that Everton side they can stop you from scoring. It's the midfield and attack which is just so inconsistent, so inconsistent. Gay's pretty old, and DA's decent. Harrison's awful. Calvert-Lewin, whatever. Garner's all right as well, but yeah, I don't know. I think they've got some work to do in the window, but I don't trust Moyes there. I wouldn't stick around with that.
I'm shocked you actually put Calvert-Lewin in. I thought Beto was going to make an appearance as our striker. The goals he scored this season.
This was. I took it all from the same website. I think he maybe just accumulated somehow. Calvert-Lewin may have accumulated more minutes. I don't know. It's on whoscored.com. I found it, so it's questionable. Although this was another Chat GBT special when it said, I said, what's the trends change in the Premier League? And it said, the old-fashioned number 9 centre forward after phenomenal seasons from Alexander Isak, fair enough, Erling Haaland, okay, decent, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin were the 3 that it chucked me out. So there you go. Obviously a fan. AI is a fan of Calvert-Lewin, so you'll be all right. But yeah, as Lucas said, the bulk of that squad's there. 2 changes in midfield, see what they can do. Moyes always used to like a decent transfer in the past, so we'll see how that plays out for Everton. And now we get on to FA Cup winners. Who had that in their bingo card at the start of the season? Another side who started the season awfully. I think 1 winless in their first 8 games, 1 win in their first 13. Oliver Glasner was under all sorts of pressure. And then an unbelievable turnaround from December onwards to what has ended up, I think, their highest points tally as well as an FA Cup win. Lucas, say obviously you're an affiliation with Crystal Palace, another trophy in the area. See that one coming?
My original home team. No, I didn't actually. I did think Man City were gonna do what Man City always do, but Glasner's a great coach. He's a great coach. They had a slow start at the beginning. Obviously, they replaced Elise with Nketiah, which is one of the biggest drops in quality I think I've ever seen in the league. But, I mean, Palace are good. They're going to get raided slightly, though. Gay looks like he's on his way to Liverpool. Eze, it's up in the air. Although, in saying that, I do think Eze will be like the next Zaha and might just stick around and be like a cult hero at the club. Munoz is quality. Wharton, quality. And he barely played most of the season. And Mateta's a proven Prem goal scorer at this point. So, again, they've got the core to really push on. I'd love to see Palace push on to the top 7, top 8, do where Brighton were and Fulham for most of the season. I don't see why Palace can't be there with the team and the manager that they've got. They just always have these. They always just have these runs. It's just ingrained in that club. They just have a terrible run of football. And they don't break it, and then they go on a good run. It's never throughout the season lose one and win the next game. It's always lose, and then at one point you go, right, Palace are literally the best team in the league right now. It's every single year. Even under Hodgson, they were doing this. Under Vieira, they were doing this. It's they lose a load, and then they go in, and it's right, who do you not want to play right now? Crystal Palace, please. Anyone but Palace. So they need to break this start. So maybe the FA Cup is the spur. I mean, phenomenal. First major trophy for that club. Is amazing. But I like Palace, and I hope they do push on.
Was amazing. A lot of love for the win. Well, some love for the win of the FA Cup, but not from the Charlton fans currently in terms of the Palace win. But yeah, as you said, look, it's just a question of you want to see them sort of say, okay, let's build and go to the next level and not get raided and I'm not sure, because there's a number of players in that team that a number of people are going to look at. I mean, as you said, Eze's been on people's radars for Bunos at right back, because that's a position people are struggling for, and he plays in that position that a number of teams could kind of utilise someone like that in. So someone that'd be difficult. Ismaila Sarr as well was breakout. 12 goals and 7 assists, I think, came through. Lucas is done though. Crystal Palace have won the FA Cup. Lucas has done enough. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back in a minute. So yeah, a really good season for Crystal Palace, breaking all sorts of records. If they could have a start, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they could have a start. And he's back. Roll on, roll off.
The tech issues today are just all over the place.
It's shocking, isn't it? I think we're just out of practice. I think because the Premier League's not on. It's all the heat has got to everybody today. It's dropping everybody down. But Crystal Palace doing a fantastic season, and now we get to the sort of sides that, to be fair, all kind of had their moments in the season and ultimately have finished in mid-table. But I think I've impressed as they've gone along. Rebecca, one of your old managers in Marco Silva, has now sort of been at Fulham for quite a while, really. Bit of consistency that they've had. Raul Jimenez is back as well, bit of a revival. Fulham are a very sturdy unit this season.
Yeah. I love the way it's one of many different Everton managers that just seem to keep appearing everywhere. No, Fulham are one of them teams where they have their moments, but they are a steady squad. I mean, Alex Iwobi has slotted in at Fulham well. He's been a standout for them in quite a few matches. One player that it'd be good to hopefully see him a bit more next season will be Harry Wilson. Very strong player, but I think he's been hit with injuries quite a bit this season. But no, they are just one that's there and thereabouts, where I don't know when we'll see them start creeping a bit higher into the top 6 in like the next few seasons, because they do just seem to be floating where they are at the minute. But they do have a strong side, and Marco Silva's been able to get this Fulham side how he wants them to play, and it is a strong way, and they're always a difficult one to go to, and you don't really sometimes you're like, oh great, Fulham this time. I'm on about Palace again. I'm getting all confused. It's like we're out of sync it's summer. And having Raul Jimenez scoring 12 this season, it just shows that they've got a strong striker, and I mean Smith Rowe sitting in behind what he can do as well. They've got a strong team.
They've got a strong team now. They've got standout players coming, and they spent some big money. They bought, say, Anderson came in from Fulham, from Palace. Again, I'm doing it now. Came in from Palace. They spent decent money on Smith Rowe as well. Anthony Robinson's been one of a sort of a surge of left backs that we've seen this season from teams in the Premier League that have got, I think, everybody interested and things like that. And I'd say Lucas also seems to be a bit of a where Arsenal players are ending up with Leno, Smith Rowe, and Iwobi are sort of moving. It's for coming the next string. What have you made of Fulham this season?
They started off really well, but they just ended really poorly. But at the beginning, they were firmly around like that 5th, 6th, 7th place, and then it just all capitulated in the second half of the season, and I'm not really sure why, and this was a false dawn. But Smith Rowe kind of ran out of steam, started off really well. Iwobi, like you said, was really good this season. I think he got his highest goal tally this year. Yeah, I'm not really sure for them. I think they're fine. I think they're sort of just cemented in that, literally where they are, 11th, 10th, 9th. They're close to pushing on. I don't think they'll drop any further than that. They play some great football at times, and it's extremely hard to beat. They're a pain in the arse as well. Like, their away form is what was their home form, which was letting them down at the beginning of the season. But away, they were a nightmare to play against. Tough, resilient side. Marcus Silva's got them like very, very resilient. But I don't know. I think there's a few. They need a couple like better centre back. I think another like sort of like tough midfielder. Polinia was like a big miss, but they managed to share his sort of workload around. They're gonna have to think about long-term striker wise. Like Jimenez is getting on, even though he's still scoring the goals. The backups are all right, but I don't know across the course of the season. It's fixable with Fulham. I think they've done decent business so far, but if they want to push on, I think they're gonna have to really like get two they're gonna have to get two starters like who just slot in straight into the first team without a doubt, and I think they press on to like those European spots.
Yeah, they weren't a million miles away, were they? And at one point looked like that they might do it, and they've just become a really reliable side, and they've really established themselves in the Premier League, and well worthy, as you said, of those midfield positions. Someone else who's well worthy, Claire, our very own Claire, is in the chat as well. You can catch Claire on Thursdays, of course, with Lower League, because we've got we've got seasons reviews going on everywhere. I think we've got a League 2 season review. I think Rebecca's back on Thursday for a League 2 season. There's National League reviews. There's all sorts going on, but we'll get to that at the end, don't you worry. But another side that overachieved from our predictions, that's for sure, but maybe they were expecting it a bit more. Brentford had a really, really strong season. They at one point again looked like they were knocking on kind of European door, scoring a lot of goals, particularly at home, very emphatic at home. Brian and Bremo with 20. I think Visser got high 18 or something like that as well. Yeah. He was massive. Kevin Schade started banging goals in towards the end of the season. Damsgaard was assisting for fun. But a really strong season. Rebecca, Brentford, so we mentioned about Thomas Frank going as well. Kind of a nice end, I suppose, to his project, and that they had their strongest season.
Yeah, very strong one for Brentford. I didn't want to see Thomas Frank go, because I do feel like there was more that he could do with this Brentford side and potentially get him a bit higher, but it's one of them. I mean, it's on paper a very strong side. They're getting the goals through Mbuemo, but then he's being linked with United quite heavily, isn't he? So
another bid's gone in yesterday, yeah.
So that could be a really big miss for them, and how they work around it. I mean, Wissa as well, he's a strong one, so if they can keep him, I think then they could be quite settled with it. Lewis Potter is a good one, I think, as well, a young player who is developing with this Brentford side. So I feel as though they do have things going their way, but it's just one of them. I want to be able to see them break into the top a bit more, but I think it's like you look at the away form, it wasn't as good as the home. I mean, 7 away wins is still very impressive, but it's one of them. They're losing more away as well, so I feel as they'll pick that up a bit, and that could massively help them. But they are an interesting one to watch, and they are an exciting team to watch in the league of Brentford. There is one that you look out for on the fixtures to see that how well, I know for us, that how well Everton could do against this strong side as well.
And they had some emphatic results. They'd have games where they kind of run away with and smashed a few goals in, and say they did concede a few at the back. But they may have Vandenberg, but we've got our own Van Danberg, who's just back from his own football, drawing 3-0 with a goal line clearance at the death. Look at that, absolute hero was our Dan, saving the business. But he does think it's curtains at Brentford next season, and I don't know what you think of the manager options at the moment for Brentford, Lucas. But Keith Andrews is one who's been lined. He's the current set piece coach. I'm not sure what experience he has, but seems to be favourite at the minute. But did you worry now for Brentford with Frank off and Mbuemo pretty much packed with United or with Spurs still being linked as well? Obviously, with those links, what do you think? Is this as good as it gets?
I went to the stadium to watch the Nigeria-Ghana game, and it is like, I was impressed just because how small the stadium is. I was like, damn, they are firm Premier League side. This is a small club. Like, the stadium's not big at all. And I was like, fair play. Like, Brentford have done amazing. I think it's like 20,000, something like that, seater. But when you're in there, I was like, this is tiny. Like, so it's a fair play. I think Frank's left at the right time, but they're getting raided. Bremo's looks like he's gone. If it's not United, he's going to go. Wiss is out of contract, right? Or he's got 1 year left, so he's going to go. And Flecken's already gone, right? Flecken went Leverkusen, didn't he?
Flecken's gone, and they've got Kelleher's come in, isn't he?
And Kelleher's gone in. Oh, fair enough. It's not a bad trade.
Decent
switch. Decent swap. But the manager, 2 of the top goal scorers, like the goalkeeper, they've got some good players. I think they might be in a little bit of a predicament, though. I think they're another one they're going to drop. It would not surprise me if they drop down a bit. But I don't know if they'll get relegated, but we'll see. They survived losing Tony. Maybe others will step up, and they're going to get money for these guys. So we'll see what happens. I hope they stay up there, Brentford.
They seem to be resolute, and I don't think they're going to go too far away from the game plan or where they're at. I can't see someone coming in and completely ripping up what Brentford do. So they kind of want to stick on that path, and so they're going to get Mbuemo. They're talking 60 million, and Visser if he's got, because I think Forest came in for him in January, and it looked like that might happen for about 30. They might not get that for him now, but with a year left, but. Again, it's just how they invest and do that, but they always seem to do a decent job at that, Brentford. So we will see. We'll see how Brentford go on with it. But Bournemouth were another so good that Iraola's pictures disappeared. They were absolutely absolutely smashed through. And at one stage, again, someone who looked like they were going to get European football and caused an awful amount of trouble for the big sides, I say, in terms of the top 6. I think a double, wasn't it, over Arsenal they got, and Manchester City. They beat Manchester City at home as well.
Newcastle at home.
Newcastle at home, and you've only got to see with the fact that, of that back 3, you've got Huijsen's gone to Real Madrid, Kirkis has gone to Liverpool, and Zabani's been talked about at PSG. So, and that's before you get to the front line. And Kepa's gone too. So it's been raided, but it also shows you the sort of status of those clubs that are coming in for those players. How fantastic they've been. Christie was excellent. Kluivert did well. Evan Nielsen, excellent. Semenyo. A very different Bournemouth this year, Lucas.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Silk. So Iraola, if I'm right, Iraola, he joined halfway through last season. Or did he join? That was the beginning of this season.
No, I think it was halfway through last season because Gary O'Neill went, didn't he? And I think he came at the back end of I want to say back in the previous season because Gary O'Neill came in at Wolves the season before, didn't he?
This is the second season.
Yeah.
Second full season. It's a lot of changes, but Bournemouth is a club, like they're very shrewd with their business. I do think, whilst these guys were good, I do think they're all very easily replaceable. Kirkes, Hoyson, and Kepa. I think they're all young players as well. I think they can replace them. I'd be more concerned if it was Clive and Semenyo, just I know it's attacking wise. Kirkes is going to be tricky, but I think Hoyson they can replace. I think Kepa they can replace. Kirkes was very, very unique talent. But I think they'll be right. I don't think they'll drop too far. I don't know if they'll be pushing as much as they did this season. But Iriola is a top coach. Like that's been proven. So I think they do some shrewd business, continue what they've been doing. I think Bournemouth is a similar situation to Fulham. They'll be in and around. Yeah, like you said, they've already signed a replacement for Kirkes.
Yeah, they've got Adrian Truffert. Yeah,
they're like Brighton. They're starting to become that club. Like they are on it with like, they don't waste time. So they've kept the front. Evan Nilsson was great business. I didn't actually think he scores goals at Porto, but whenever I've seen him play, I never was really like, oh, he's a great striker. Like a team would get him in. Comes to the Premier League, and I'm like, bloody hell, I would have taken him out of Arsenal. Like he's clinical. Very, very good striker. Like, just does the job. Like, nothing fancy. Just always in and around the box. Good hold-up play. Quality. And Kluivert's really stepped up in the last couple of seasons. Like, really stepped up. Semenyo's good as well. But Tara scored like a hat-trick off the bench, didn't he, as well? Like, comes in and around. Tavernier. Like, I think they'll be all right. Similar sort of spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that rotation on that front as well, they all take up different positions and it's just the interchange of them. And only to concede 16 goals at home as well is kind of a bit surprising, really actually. Good. You sort of look at attacking football, don't you, when you look at Bournemouth and what they did, but really difficult. Silk says people forget they signed loads of players when they were early joining, didn't win a game for 10 weeks, but it takes time to bid them in. It does, and I think we said when Heather, was on the pod, when they signed Semenyo came from Bristol City, and he wasn't ripping numbers up at Bristol City. It wasn't kind of like they are excellent in terms of what they're doing scouting. And say Zabani and Hoyson, look at where they're going to be playing next season. So if they can carry that through, then and do the same this season, then you said there's no reason why they shouldn't still be solid. Shouldn't still be solid.
There's good centre backs out there. I think wing backs is tricky, but there's good centre. Look at Milenkovic at Forest.
Exactly. You can certainly pick the centre back.
Yeah, I think centre backs for those kind of teams, like if you're looking at mid-table, I think you can get centre backs. There's an abundance of centre backs who can do a job. It's other positions are more of a concern.
Yeah, that left wing backs are very specialised. But say the truth is, I think he's got a French cap. I think he's played for the national team in a couple of. So he's by sounds of it, be interesting how he gets on. But Brighton, a team Rebecca and I are well knowledgeable about now because we of course had our All About Brighton episode last week where we spoke to wonderful Joe from Albion Obsessed who told us all about Brighton and why they're fantastic. Their algorithm of recruitment, wasn't it, Rebecca, that Tony Bloom has that no one can buy. He said, and he said there's also another machine of new players coming through that if they sell any of these, that don't worry, they've got sort of ready-made players ready to come in. But one of the standouts, Rebecca, that we were talking to him about this season was Carlos Baliba, wasn't it? I cannot believe it. These Brighton midfielders keep coming through. How have you made of Brighton's season? Because they seem to be consistent in this kind of eighth kind of position, just on the edge, not quite making it. But what did you make of Brighton's season?
I thought it was a very positive season for Brighton. A strong side, like we mentioned. If anyone hasn't seen the All About Brighton episode, it is a good one. Learned a lot about Brighton. And we also spoke a lot about Matoma, which I will do again now because he has just been a standout for them. Incredibly talented player. But, I mean, some of the names within the Brighton squad are names like you've never thought, especially me, like I'd never heard of, and then coming into the way that Bloom is able to recruit these players and get them in, it is a very impressive setup that they have at Brighton, and it's a very positive one as well with the ownership and everything. It's a well-run club, and it is a very good one to like for fans to be a part of. So they are a very strong side. Welbeck as well. In this Brighton squad, it's incredible. I mean, being one of the joint top goal scorers for them as well, it just shows what Brighton are able to get him to do, and Hurtsler is able to get this side playing like it is. They're an entertaining side, and I do hope next season that we see them at least pushing for Europe, because I do feel as though they are a team to look out for.
And they had a stunning back end of the season. They were on some phenomenal form. And do you think, Lucas, it was the fact that they were starting to get, and Hurtsler was starting to get it and adapt a bit? I think when we spoke to the Brighton fan Joe last week, he was saying that was the frustrations early part. He was stuck, but he did start to adapt to the back end of the season, and they almost snuck into Europe, didn't they?
Yeah, I was surprised by how well he did towards like across the course of the season, to be fair. But they're another one that causes us a headache each time, Brighton. But they've got some quality footballers. Like, they've just got a team full of footballers, like, all technically very gifted. I always call them like the press resistant team. Like, they just sign all of these random players that you've never heard of before. Even on Foot Manager, you've never heard of them. And all of them are so press resistant. They got impeccable first touches, and are insanely press resistant in midfield. Baleba's literally like the pinnacle of that at the moment. He'll get a move. Like, I know they've linked him with City for a little bit, but I think if he continues, he will get a move to a top club, because that's a midfielder that, you know, if coached well, improves his game. That's a top quality footballer right there. Matoma's great. Minte was good signing as well. Chipped in with the goal as well, but getting 10 goals, great. João Pedro is brilliant. I think he is gonna move. It looks like Chelsea is the top destination at the moment. João Pedro is brilliant. I'd take him at Arsenal. Estepinian quality, decent goalkeeper. I think Veltman and Van Heck, that side is a bit of a weakness, especially with Baleba in front of them. I think they've got to improve their defence a little bit, and I think they need a bit of an enforcer in midfield. I know it's quite different to how they play, but and then this striker situation, they put Pedro up there, but Welbeck, they really needed like Evan Ferguson to end up being the player that he looked like he was going to be, and he's still young, but I think that they're another one. They're a couple pieces away. I think 2 players going straight into that first team changes things for Brighton, but they're good. They're very good, and they're frustrating to play at times. They're going to be in that same position, I think.
Yeah, they're very frustrating. I can't remember the last time we beat Brighton. Like, they're an absolute nightmare every time we play them. They are, as you said, just fantastic technical footballers. Like, it's very difficult to play against. And so you also got to say Dunk's been there forever now. It's been an absolute stalwart in that defence. But there's a few areas that they need to. I think he said last week as well, Rebecca, if I remember, he said he reckons Estepinian's off as well, didn't he? I think he said he's possibly back to South America, but which again is another area. But there's players they've got coming through, so I've got no sure whatsoever. So Brighton will be there. They'll be knocking on the door. As this is here to say, didn't know you could play the piano, Crab.
I've had a lot of time in Football Manager to learn. So
this is it with no ref in 25. Time has been free. So Brighton very good, and a team that absolutely surprised everybody, pleasantly surprised everybody. At one stage, absolutely 60%, I think, of the season they were in the top 4. You know, they were really.
2 goals there, mate.
I have no, Christ, 7. My word, should be 27. Let alone he did get, I think 20 goals. He did get. Yeah, that's an error with the graphic. But Chris Wood was fantastic. I know he got those many goals because he absolutely rinsed it for my fantasy team for 3/4 of the season. He was a brilliant purchase. But Forest were just that. I mean, they were, in terms of some of the recruitment of some of those players that they got in last summer, was just
spot on, wasn't it?
Absolutely perfect. Milenkovic, I mean, fantastic that they got there in their midfield, adding in Gibbs White, Anderson, Wood, Alanga was a problem, Hudson-Odoi was a problem. Again, the fullbacks very good. Matt Sells probably pound for pound best keeper in the league last year. Joint Golden Glove with David Raya. Absolutely insane. As Nick says in the chat here, Milenkovic for 10.1 million.
Deal.
Absolute bargain. Probably a weird one though, Lucas, with them finishing 7th, because they've been so effective, so good. Nunes been brilliant, and then they just had a rough end patch, didn't they? Which just slid them out slightly.
Yeah, it's annoying because I think they'll be a little bit disappointed regardless. Like, I mean, it's an amazing season, but just the way it ended with them sort of like almost assured the Champions League and then just faltering towards the end. But 7th is great considering they were almost relegated. So Nunes done a brilliant job. Like Chris Wood, top like last 2-3 seasons, just banging in the goals. And yeah, like that's a team. Like look at that team. Like it's great first 11. Like, and they play very, very tough to beat, very defensive, and probably the best counter-attacking side in the Premier League this season. So yeah, I think they can kick on. They should definitely be kicking on. Their owners already said like the ambition. That's what you want. You want them to kick on. So I expect them to be doing some very, very good business. Because one in particular, Chris Wood is 34 now, so they'll be looking for like a new striker now. And I think there's some improvements they can do in terms of maybe another winger. Not really. Hudson-Odoi and Langer were good last season, but I think you can improve there, especially maybe with I mean, either one of them, to be honest. That's the good thing though. They take turns to go on like streaks of like really good form. But I think, you need someone a bit consistent throughout the whole season and chipping in with more goals to help out Wood. Gibbs-White's brilliant. Anderson was amazing. What a great bit of business there. So yeah, they're really impressed by Forest this year.
And they're well set as well. So Nick's had fatigue and injuries at the wrong times. They certainly need to build that squad for next season, because the Conference League, you got Thursday, Sunday, which will be new for them and is a pain in the neck sometimes in terms of the preparation for the Premier League. So that's something that they're going to have to work with. But as you say, they've shown with the recruitment and the ambition that they've got that they're gonna go and have a go for it. So yeah, and interesting to see what they do. And there's no, I don't see Forest getting raided this summer. I think they're all set and they're all in belief of the project. So I don't think this is going to be a fluke. I think Forest are going to be a problem as well. Yeah, there's a couple of players that are playing in the Club World Cup for Botafogo. There's Lucas, and I think was there. There was another guy as well, I think, at Botafogo, Nickel, I think, that was being linked to them too. So again, picking these players up, and
of course they got Edu. Edu's the football director now, isn't he? So
yeah, he'll have all the links out there. He's got all the links, all the Brazilian links you used to get. You see, your Martinellis and all
better ones than us.
But a fantastic season. Rebecca, Nottingham Forest just fell away, but you must enjoy seeing different teams fighting at the top end of the Premier League.
Especially with what they went through at the tail end of the season before this one, with them being in the down with those points deduction and everything, to see the bounce back that they've had and the regroup that they did. It puts hope in the teams that were similar situations to them. But no, they are a very impressive side, and the way Nuno's got on playing. And I mean, I'll always speak about Gibbs-White, so incredibly talented. I can speak about him on every single podcast if I had the chance to. But no, what they've been able to do at Forest is really impressive, and it's exciting football that they're playing.
They've had a fantastic season, no doubt about it, and fully deserving of a European place. And as I said, slightly disappointing. Probably they didn't get more, which they would have felt that they certainly deserved. And the team as well, Aston Villa have become a proper unit over the last few years. They had a very exciting Champions League campaign as well. Beat Bayern Munich, I think, at home early on in the season. Got all the way to the quarterfinals, and they took a bit of a punt in January. Brought in a couple of Marco Asensio, Marcus Rashford coming in to bulk that squad up and really gave that a good effort. And again, another one that, to be fair, a horrendous decision at Old Trafford, which didn't help them in terms of the European places on the last day, which may have slipped them down. But another one now, Lucas. One loss at home, but Villa are a proper team now, and Emery just worked perfectly for them.
Yeah, I think it's a great fit. Got some really, really good players there. I'm a big fan of Ollie Watkins, big fan of Morgan Rogers. Torres, I think, is a top centre back. Konza's getting better each year. And Emi Martinez is a solid goalkeeper. He might be on his way out. Cash and Digne, decent fullbacks. Kamara, Tielemans is a quality footballer. Ramsey. And then you said they've made intent. They signed 3 attacking players in January. They were like, yeah, we're in multiple competitions here. We can go far in the FA Cup. We're doing all right in Champions League, and we're pushing for top 4. So they're backing him. They're backing Emery. I think his decisions in some of the games towards latter end of the stage hurt him a bit, especially things like Champions League, not starting Watkins in some of the games was really weird towards the end of the season. Whether that's an issue with them or they're saying it's fitness, I think it was a bit off. But I think they're going to be very active in the window, would not be surprising if Jack Grealish returns there as well. I think in terms of the way they play as well, like that's a perfect fit. I think that's fine. Like counter-attacking wise, he works hard. So yeah, I think Villa are there to stay. They are in that sort of 4th to 6th, 7th like spot comfortably, in my opinion. They are a top side.
Yeah, they're well deserving of being there. I'd say they do have some FFP concerns and issues that they'll have to work around a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen some frustration from Villa fans, but then again, they did spend a lot in January, and you know some big wages that went on. So they've got a bit of, which is the worry with Villa, which I think is with. So they'll be hoping to get a fee with Martinez, but then there's risks of like Watkins, and don't forget they had to sell John Duran, didn't they? And he was absolutely whipping it up early on in the season, and went off to Saudi. So yeah, if they can get round those issues, then as you said, they're a mainstay there. I think they're a really established, difficult team, and they had Champions League. They managed the Champions League all the way to the quarterfinals, and should have made the Champions League again bar the final day. So really quality season. Need to pick up that home form a little bit, but that away form, sorry. But so next season is a new season. We'll see how that works out. Did I come to you, Rebecca, on Aston Villa? I can't remember. I don't think I did. We didn't come to you on Aston Villa. So again, I saw that we've talked a lot about this season in terms of how good they've been. Do you think Europa League? I mean, they must be looking at that competition now. You don't get the drop of the Champions League. Their experience last season going, well, yeah, why not? Why not? Spurs can do it in 17th. Surely anyone can do it.
Yeah, I feel as though, and I said this at like the end of the season, last match of the season podcast, is I think Europa is a better fit for Villa, and I can see them doing really well in that. And I feel as though the like onset into the Prem might not be as big for them in terms of like we saw them struggle after Champions League quite significantly. But I feel as though Europa, we could see Villa lift a trophy, which would be really exciting for them. But it is going to be an exciting season for them, depending on how they're able to set up and which players they're able to bring in, but then also which ones they lose. It is going to be interesting. But they keep Ollie Watkins, keep him scoring. We are in for a good Villa side, I think.
Yeah, they've definitely got more potential again next season. And talking of winning trophies, Newcastle finally got their hands on a trophy as well. The AFL Cup for Newcastle. Eddie Howe lifting that fantastic performance, and you saw the emotion for the Newcastle fans in winning that one. 5th in the Premier League, another side that on their day an absolute nightmare. And looking at, I mean, you look at that midfield three, it's a nightmare when they're on it. You've also got Alexander Isak, who anybody would take as their number 9, I think, in the Premier League. Murphy was phenomenal as well, coming on the right hand side, and Gordon was chipping in with bits as well. It just seems now, Lucas, Newcastle are starting to realise themselves, but they're doing it in a different way, I suppose. I think that what we all thought when the money came in is here we go, but it's kind of a steady build, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they got the best striker in the league, in my opinion, and it's elite business. They've not got it wrong for a while now. Like Lewis Hall and Livramento, both from Chelsea, and both of them were some of the best fullbacks in the league. Yeah. I mean, at one point, Lewis Hall was definitely the best left back in the league, and Livramento solid the whole season. Shah and Byrne, like, I think that's where they'll be looking to really improve in the window. I would say is they need to get a centre back in. Lascelles is like past it now. Byrne's not really a centre back, but can kind of play there because he's tall. But him between the left and the centre. Shah is getting on. Midfield 3, probably on their day the best midfield 3 in the league. Joe Linton, Gramaris, and Tonali on their day. Unplayable when they're up for it, and that's what really helped them in some games because they just absolutely dominate and bully you. Like, all very physically gifted, but also all very technical. Not every team has got that privilege with 3 players in midfield, like, who just literally will run you into the ground, but also can ping passes, can chip in with the goals, assists. And Jacob Murphy had a breakout year as a winger. Gordon, after last season where he wasn't, was it last season where, what was the season where he was scoring? It wasn't, was it last season?
I think he got, I think season before, I think he might have got more, but he had a bit of an injury, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, that was it. He dropped off, so you can tell that injury, but he started to sort of come back this season and chip in. But Harvey Barnes, brilliant. Like, I think they'll be wanting to do a couple bits of business. I know they were hit with some financial things a few years ago, but they should be all right now. And I think they are actually allowed to spend this season. So we'll see. Yeah, don't expect Newcastle to be quiet. I think they've got some work to do. But like, what a team!
Yeah, really starting to go in that direction where they're, as you said, they're a unit. Our midfield's just a joke when they're on it. They just absolutely dominate the games. I think there's Botman coming back as well. Did he come back towards the end of the season? I know he had a serious injury, didn't he? So potentially see what kind of state he's at. He bulked the squad up a bit. Again, another one that will look at the Europa League and go, you know what, we're going to be a problem in there. Tonali's going to love that. I can see him absolutely controlling things in European games for sure. So really interested. Although Nick said that the transfer business has been exposed with their failed pursuit of Anthony Elanga. So another one that are having to be careful with the press, which I suppose is where the links for Isak are coming. But I mean, they can't sell Isak. Like, that would just be what's the point for me? If you sell someone, Isak's like a one in a lifetime striker for a club that aren't currently winning the Premier League or in that top 2-3. To sell him to do what? To get another centre back and a left, to forget about it. Stick with your striker and tell everyone hands off and work around it. He's something else. Rebecca, do you think they're another one Europa League gonna do the business? They've got the second best England keeper. Do you think behind somebody else?
Yeah. It could be an interesting season for Newcastle. There's one midfielder that I'll just sit back and ignore when talking about this. Bitter Everton fans still here. But no, they do have a strong side, and they've proven that this season with winning the Carabao Cup, and it will be interesting to see what they can do. I don't know what to say. I feel like you've covered it all. But no, it is. They are an exciting side, and I mean, keeping Isaac could be a key one. I mean, 23 goals this season, arguably one of the best strikers at the minute in the Premier League. So it will be interesting to see what they can do next season.
That's true, and they're in the Champions League, of course, aren't they? Yeah, fifth was a Champions League spot, wasn't it? I completely forgot fifth was a Champions League spot. Yeah,
we nearly stopped him getting it.
There was some crazy last day shenanigans going on, wasn't there, for the Champions League spots? Just a bizarre season. Even with just the 5 Champions League, no one knew who was getting a European place. And then you get the after the season, and then Crystal Palace, there's issues with their owners, isn't there? And people are still trying to take spots off of each other. It's mad. This whole season has been absolutely bonkers. But Rebecca, I'll let you have a come first this time. In the next, Chelsea, one of the youngest teams in the Premier League. One that we've kind of, for the past few seasons, have kind of been very difficult. They're very difficult to keep track on in the transfer window, that is for sure. However, Maresca's kind of settled with a smaller squad, and he's played a similar amount of players. A lot of them are young, a lot of them coming through. What have you made of Chelsea? A fourth place finish is, for them, where they were last season, pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think I had them predicted anywhere near the top 4. Especially with what we've seen recently from Chelsea. They haven't had the best season, last season especially, but to be able to bounce back from that, I mean, again, I think we can say this for quite a few teams, they do have a strong side. There are a few gaps that can be filled, but they have been building up throughout the season. I mean, Cole Palmer, one of his arguably best seasons, again, 15 goals, it's impressive for him, and now taking his chance with the England squad as well. But I do feel as though 4th for Chelsea was a very good finish for them. I mean, you've got the likes of trying to think. I'm having a mind blank and I don't know why. Jackson, that's the name, I've just spotted it then.
Yeah.
Again, been on form for Chelsea this season, and they have got a very good front pairing of Palmer and Jackson, which work quite well together. And it is, again, they don't always play the most exciting way, but they know what to do to be able to get the win. I mean, 12 home wins is quite a decent run for them, and it's been a positive season for them in what we've seen recently.
Yeah, as they've certainly done well under Maresca. Did that surprise you, Lucas, with Maresca? Because I remember early last season, everyone was kind of had him as a worry, thinking, "Oh, well, this is waiting to implode." And it's been a different kind of Chelsea.
Nah, not convinced. Not convinced. There's a reason they call him the PE teacher. Not convinced that's all.
Just waiting for that knock on the door with that job title.
But like Chelsea, I mean, they weren't going to falter for that much longer. Like we all laughed at Bowley and what he was doing, and fair play. Like it works. Like you sign a lot of young players. Some of them work for you, some of them don't. You loan them out. You get money in. It's an instant revenue stream. You can then go and sign whoever you want. All these players are on long contracts, which keeps their value high, but also means you have to pay them extortionate salaries. Like it's good, and there's some good players in there. Like Palmer's brilliant. But you could tell he had an off season, and even with that 15 goals, but you could tell he was tired. The system wasn't really helping him. Like there were a few factors there. I think mainly it was fatigue. Like he really carried them the year before. Caicedo was one of the best midfielders this season. Like Cucurella, unreal. And that's probably about it. To be fair, Enzo actually, turned it around this season as well. When it's kind of on the fringes, he was really good for them. Gusto's decent. Reece James back and fit, brilliant footballer. There's enough there, and I think Delap is a great bit of business to start off with. Let's see what else they do, but Chelsea will be looking to push on this year. I don't know if a title challenge is on the cards, but I think that's what they'll be looking at with the money they spent. And let's be real, they were in a title race till January, pretty much. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that Chelsea can basically compete for the league at this point, because they almost did it last season for the whole duration. So see what they do in the window. But I think Delap is a great start for only 30 million. And see where else they go. But yeah, one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that midfield unit's starting to click a bit more. You're now getting consistency out of Caicedo, Enzo. You've got Lavia as well. You've barely seen yet, kind of as well, can step in there. And we know Chelsea will be doing some business this summer. We know that for sure. So
got Esteban coming in as well.
Oh god, yeah, there's the young super kids from Palmeiras. Yeah, that's just what we need. More of that happening. Emily said they thought they overachieved last season. They will have a poor season next season. I think they will struggle in the Champions League. But they're going to expand that squad.
Won't we?
We'll bring some of those players that the second 11 that we haven't really seen. I'm sure could step in and out.
Is coming back as well.
So many players. Jackson had more red cards, I think, than any player in the Premier League. And I did see as well that Bournemouth versus Chelsea was the most ever yellow cards in a single Premier League match this season, with 14 in that game in particular, which is pretty impressive. That's a hell of a lot of paperwork for that referee that day, that is for sure. And a team that are down in third. They Pep Guardiola will tell you they won a trophy because all of a sudden the Community Shield has become relevant. But that was all they got off the back of dominating and winning trophies. I think we all said, could they keep doing it? I think quite a few of us in the prediction thought maybe they wouldn't, but that was before Rodri got injured, which absolutely shows the importance of that man to that squad. But also the midfield wasn't quite right. Didn't quite have the legs in certain areas. Some of the link-up play wasn't the same. They weren't getting the same joy out of Haaland in certain situations. Certain things didn't work. Pep was under pressure in a different way. It was a really turbulent season for City, but then they came through sort of strong at the end to finish okay. And I wouldn't put it past them to go and win the Club World Cup or something stupid, because it just seems to be how it is. But
it's Man City, isn't it?
It's just Man City. What did you make of City this year, Lucas? It was a strange one for them.
It was funny to watch, that's for sure. But we're kind of just like, when is this going to end? And then it didn't end. And then somehow they were still like right behind us. So it's just like in their worst season, they were right behind us. Worst season on the Pep days for a while. So, and you can tell they're not happy. They are definitely not happy because they've gone and signed I think they've signed an entire 11 since January.
Yeah, they made some big money in January.
Yeah. They signed. Have they signed a goalkeeper? I think they have.
I think they have got a keeper. They got in at least two defenders, didn't they, in January?
Yeah, they got in. What's the name? Begins with K. Vitor Reis, the two centre backs. Ait Nouri's the left back. They've definitely signed a right back. I can't think off the top of my head who it was. They've got in Cherki, the guy from Porto, the midfielder. And
he ripped us apart for Lyon. He was good in the Europa League. Yeah,
he's brilliant. He's good. Bit streaky, but I think if Pep's seen something there, he's good. And they got the Argentinian kid who had a bit of a decent like cameo in the FA Cup final, Echeverry. Like it was just a bit of naivety from them, like not signing a backup for Rodri, getting Gundogan back and thinking that was enough, not getting another striker. Like to start with, Marmoush they obviously signed as well. Playing Savinho like in some games, not in others, when he's a brilliant footballer, Savinho. Like I think Pep's learned from those mistakes, and I think they're going to go for it this season. I think he's also going to adapt the style slightly. They're going to be a bit more direct, is what he's been saying. Don't know why he's telling us that, but be warned. So, be warned. Yeah, he's never gone 2 seasons without winning the league in his whole career. So that just goes to show what they're going to be up for next season. And of course, Haaland was injured for a good chunk and didn't really get the goals that we can see him score. So, oh boy, it was fun while it lasted, but yeah.
They're going to be, my worries are dialed in Manchester City with an objective again, because I think it got to that point where they won the treble and they'd won league after league after league. And so you heard Pep saying it, like to try and keep that motivation, to keep that. And so what United used to have in the 90s and the 2000s, to keep that hunger to go again, when everyone behind you is more hungry to win it in that extent. But on top of that, then you've got a midfield unit which is all kind of aging together, and the legs just weren't there. They were getting bypassed too easily. They said Haaland off for a bit. Marmoush came in and offered them something different, but the signings they've made, and then also on top of that, you had Foden. Foden went missing this season. He was their best player. He was the Premier League player of the season. The season before, did nothing this year. So you've got to imagine that potential is coming back. Rebecca, do you think this blip is over, and that come next season we're going to be back talking about the dominant City machine?
I hope that the blip is over, but I don't want it to become too dominant. I want a title race, and I want it to be interesting. I don't just want someone running off with it. Like make it a bit more interesting at the top of the table, but. No, it has been a weird one not talking about the City that we've spoken about for the past few seasons, especially with like Rodri being injured, and then the impact that they could have next season with De Bruyne going as well. They're able to sign whoever they want at this point, because these 115 charges seem to have just disappeared again. But we won't get into that. I could do a whole podcast on that. But no, it is one of them where they are able to just sign players. So it will be interesting to see what they are able to get over the summer and who they're able to get in, and how Pep can get them to work within his system, and to see if the system changes any because of the blip that we have seen this season. So we could see a completely different setup to Man City next season, which could be interesting, but you just never know.
It's gonna be an evolution, and we can add another charge because they got done, didn't they, for being late, for turning up late to kickoffs, etc. Although, what's the point in fining Man City? Their owners will make that an interest in like the 10 seconds it took to sign the piece of paper to say to pay the invoice. Like pointless, but naughty Manchester City breaking the rules. Who would have thought it? Emily says, I think it's a humbling and extremely disappointing season for City's men, but maybe the fans would appreciate silverware more and not take it for granted. But yeah, they'll be back. Fortunately, they will be back. And now, Lucas, your time is here. It's unfortunately for
9 goals.
Second again. The first, there was a stat with that, wasn't there, with Havertz with his 9? I think just the lowest
in our history, I think, in the Premier.
The history or something in the Premier, not reaching 10. So you beat Man City, but it wasn't enough. Where are you at as an Arsenal fan now after another season of almost?
I don't know what to tell you, Sam. It's just boring. It's honestly just boring. Like, we moved away from the electric attacking football we were playing the seasons before to this like defensive, absolute just archaic system relying on set pieces. And it was funny at first and it was exciting. Then we didn't score since in December or something in the league, a set piece or something. It was ridiculous amount of months. And the stat which everyone left out so conveniently was that we conceded the most goals from set pieces as well. So it was a double-edged sword. I mean, he's built a very competitive team, that's for sure. Like, we are always around there. The issue was that I think we need to realize is this was the season. I mean, we should have won it a few years, like the last two, let's be honest. But this was the one where you're looking at it going, the team that have beaten you has been Man City. They've just been that much better than you, and you can just say it's Man City and it's Pep. When they drop off, you should be ready to go and take advantage of that spot. That is literally made for you. You've been keeping pace with this team for so long. They drop off. They completely drop off a cliff. That's a free run at the league for you. So how the hell do you let Liverpool go and win it with Arne Slot coming in for the first season? There's simply no excuse for it. Injuries, referees. Mo Salah had an amazing... No, Mo Salah's been there for... It's not Mo Salah's first season. He's been there for, 7 years now, or whatever it is. No excuse for it. So I don't see what people are expecting us to do, considering that we couldn't do it with Man City at their best. We couldn't do it when Man City dropped off and Liverpool had a new manager. And you've got Chelsea crawling, getting closer and closer. Newcastle's, things like that. Man United, Spurs aren't, I'm not going to say get a title chance, but they're not going to be as bad, which means those are two teams you've got to deal with when it comes to in terms of the 6 points that you might, would have been a given over a Spurs is not necessarily the case again. I'm bored of it. And I think a lot of fans did switch this year to kind of just going, well, we didn't actually compete. We finished second, but this was an Ollie second. We were 15, 12 points in the end, but it should have been more. It was like 15, 16, but then Liverpool won the league, so they didn't really care. So let's be real. We finished 15 points behind the league. When they won the league, we were 15 points behind them. That's all that matters. And then to not, win any other trophies it's annoying. It's 5 full seasons now without a trophy, and I think he goes one more without a trophy. We have to have a serious conversation. What are we actually doing here now? But there's some great players there. Lewis Skelly coming into the team, amazing. Ethan Ranieri, that was really weird as well. Like, he didn't get game time when Odegaard was injured, and then was moved to the wing when he actually plays in the middle. There's obviously something going on there where, well, we all know it's because he loses the ball a bit because he actually tries to do something. So there's a little bit of limitations on some of these players with flair, which has always been there with Arteta's team. But you look at that attack and you're like, take Saka out, and it was really, really dire. And then when Saka came back, he scored 1 goal in 12 games. So there's some glaring issues there. These guys aren't going to stick around. I think William Saliba's clock has started. Like, I don't think he wants to be there. I think he'd rather be in Madrid. Urian Timber, have you seen that interview and all the stuff that come out there? Like, that screams like a player forcing a move. Or, we'll see the outfall from that. We've had like so many players with Havertz injury, Gabriel hamstring, Gabriel Jesus is out to November, second highest paid player. Havertz is the highest paid player, struggling to get in Sesko or Gyökeres. 5 years, this is where things start to, you need to start to look at not rebuilding, but maybe it is a rebuild. We've got Partey leaving. We need to solve that. Zubimendi, what the hell's going on there? I don't know. I just think it's a bit boring at this moment with Arsenal. Like, it's all good and that competing, but you've got to win something. Like Palace, Newcastle, Chelsea, Liverpool. Who else won a trophy? And Spurs, all winning trophies. You can't win one. So I would have been happy with the Carabao Cup and everything else. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But the transfer window isn't exactly filling me with confidence going into next season so far.
It's been slow, isn't it? It's been slow, and it's been. I thought watching Arsenal last season, particularly if you went behind, there's always. I was watching it going. There was just no urgency, no intensity, no kind of what. And you're just thinking, Mikel, you've got to. I get this is the way you play, but you're not breaking teams down doing this. I felt when Liverpool, because Liverpool went behind so many times, and you were like, they're going to come back at this. They'll throw everything at this. If Arsenal went behind, you went, well, they're not really going to throw anything at this. They're going to play the same way and hope. And I never kind of felt like that kind of he was prepared to risk to take those chances to do it. And
draws, man, 14 draws.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's killed you.
Us. Yeah,
that's
defensively. There's a defensive unit in there, but it breaks when one of those two goes. Gabriel takes a while to come back from that injury, or Saliba goes in the summer. Like that, suddenly the crack forms there quite heavily. And I do think Thomas Partey leaving is a big miss because he is very, very good at, he starts the transition of our play from defense to attack. We don't have another player who can do that in the team. Maybe Zubimendi's, decent, but it's not the same profile. And I'm worried about Saka and his fitness. Martinelli's a shadow of the player. There's some definite issues with this team. Like we've been running on competing with Man City for a while now. I think we've got to get this summer window right, and so far I'm not confident that we are. And I think we could easily fall back into another top 4 race.
Yeah, you said the others are closing in, and I think there's a lot of questions. I think over a lot of them in that front area. You can probably say, I think you can probably say out of that front 5 for me, Rice probably performed at a high level. I thought Odegaard was a shadow of what I've seen of him. They said Saka first part of the season before his injury, he was, but a lot of those assists were corners, weren't they? That set piece sort of added that up, but he was affected. Say Martinelli, Trossard's not the answer either. You said there's quite a few bits to sort, let alone if you then lose a couple of players too. So I think there could be some pressure. There could definitely be some pressure. If your season doesn't start and your start's not nice, Arsenal start is pretty rough in the fixtures. It could be really, really nasty. But then if you get through that, then things can change, can't they? But definitely, it's more than just a striker, isn't it? I know everyone talks about the striker, but it's more than just that.
That doesn't change things because we have to change the way we play if we get a striker or a direct or an actual 9 in terms of what we're missing, which is why I don't think he wants one. Why he wants Sesko. He wants someone that offers a little bit more, but isn't necessarily that clinical machine like a Gyökeres. So it just shows the he doesn't want to change it. So I think we're going to be looking at the same. And if everyone's not firing, that Odegaard Saka link up we're going to be in the same boat again. And you look at City and Liverpool. So we're going to Liverpool in a moment, but look at what they've done, getting done early.
They've won the title, and look what they've done. It's absolutely
that's intent to
smash.
We want to defend it.
Yeah, we're defending it, and we're going after the Champions League. That's just to me. They've had a phenomenal window. Go on, then. We better get on to them, and I'll let Rebecca go first to get it out of the way for me. I know she feels similar to how I feel. However, you have to tip the hat off. Liverpool have been the best team in the season. Arne Slot's been incredible in his first season. Absolutely nailed it. Decision making tactically in the games, the way he's changed things. That nothing any of us sort of saw. And I think this is when we come to our predictions. No one knew what to expect from Liverpool. The Klopp era had ended. You were expecting a bit of transition. If you remember this time last, they were screaming, Liverpool fans, about the transfer window. Buy a DM, buy it for crying out loud, buy a 6. What's going on? And then Gravenberch turns out to be the answer all along. That was sat there and managed it. So, yeah, Liverpool won the title. Rebecca, what do you want to say about it?
Well, I actually spoke to my friend who's a Liverpool fan, and he sent me over a list of notes, so I've actually come from everyone, but these aren't my words, so we'll bear that in mind.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, rivalry aside, I think that's just going to have to be the way that I do it, so I'll take my Everton hat off just for a minute, but please don't clip any of this, because it is a gritty peak, as we say, but I mean, it couldn't have gone better for him. Slot comes in, like you said, the players adapted well into a new system, and there was no stall in transition period or anything. I feel as though one of the only negatives that they had was later on in the season, which just came behind the scenes of contract talks with Salah, Van Dijk, the ongoing thing with Trent as well. So you just didn't know what that was going to look like for them heading into next season. It's also looking at the fact that they went into the season with not doing anything in the transfer window. Same team as what Klopp had, so it was just an inherited side for Slot. And to be able to do what he did with them, it is very well done. And I mean, I think one of the only players that you can mention is Mo Salah. I mean, the way that Slot had him playing was quite different. It was he had less defending to do, so it did leave him higher up out with transition, moving the ball up the pitch faster, and he was just an incredible one for them. But they did rely on him heavily, and that is one issue that could come up next season, because I think there's going to be a period in the season where we're losing quite a few players. Is it the African Cup of Nations again, or like one of them? So it's looking like him. I know Everton, we could be losing Ilham and Dye. So that could be an issue, because they do, and this season especially, it's clear they did rely on him significantly, because I think it was on like 11 goals between the other two. So it was a bit in comparison to the 29. So yeah, well done to Liverpool. That's the nicest I've ever been.
well done, Rebecca. Well done. It's tricky, but you have to give the props. Like you said, everything kind of fell and they managed the cards in front of them really, really well. And I'm sure we'll come on to the transfer business in a minute, which is bloody upgrades. And go on, then we'll give this man his moment as he's arrived. Winners, there we go. Our very own Josh is here to have his moment of celebration. We'll let you have it. We're praising. You must be enjoying this, Josh. And Manchester United and Everton fan giving you love, and then you go and buy Florian Wirtz, bloody Kirkhead at left back, and you might switch Gahey with Kanate as well. Just and you've got 30 million for Jarrell Quansah. I mean, come on, what's happened there?
If they get if front three of Mo Salah, Florian Wirtz, and Ishak.
Just cancel the Prem.
If they get Ishak, I don't think there'll be a absolutely Premier League next year. It'll have to be. I'm going to go and commentate on the Scottish. We'll do
second and below. Just show the table second and below. Like
I get my Scottish show.
It was good when at Liverpool. I mean, Lucas slot in that first season, and said we didn't know what to expect, but they were just a juggernaut, weren't they?
He's one of 4 managers who've done that. It's him, Mourinho, Conte, and I feel like there's one more who have won it the first time they've joined the Premier League. I don't know who the other one is.
It wasn't.
Not Ranieri. It's not.
Not Ranieri. It's not the Blackburn manager, was it?
Oh, maybe it
Pellegrini.
Might be.
Did we say Pellegrini?
Pellegrini, yes, Pellegrini.
Yeah,
I think that's right. It's not Mancini either. Or maybe 4 or 5. Someone chat on that. But yeah, I mean, it's impressive, especially coming from the Dutch league where there were question marks, but like it's just shrewd business. Like they knew exactly what they wanted, and they got him in, and he switched things up, and the players adapted, like Rebecca said. So they've done business. They're backing him. They've given him a chunk of money before the season started. And, it's money they saved over the years from barely spending and things like that. So they're rebuilding that team whilst being champions and going for it. Like this is a problem. Like this is definitely a concern. And you look at the Mo Salah thing, like, what do they do life after Mo Salah? Well, we've just gone and signed one of the best young wingers in world football right now from Leverkusen and broken the record. So yeah. That's what we're going to do post Mo Salah is we've got Florian Wirtz. So yeah, we'll be there for 007 if he doesn't score or assist in the first 7 games. Don't you worry.
Yeah, something mad. I mean, Josh's very happy. He quite likes it. He does, but I'm sure he's not calling for FSG out now, spending 100 million quid. They've changed their tune a bit this summer. What's happened? I like the FSG of old. It's just. They've bought some very good players in their recruitment, and they did this on the clock before either. And I think Trent going, okay, whatever. I don't think it's going to be a loss. I think they'll work around it. No, after Klopp, different system did it, and then you're going to have Kirkesh going down the other side, and then Frimpong's a slightly different kind of player to Trent, but it gives you something different. And please Newcastle, don't sell him Isak. It can't be allowed. But say Champions League or the rest of it, then they've got a real shot at going for everything, I think, next season, and it would be to say interesting. I don't know if I want to say interesting for Liverpool or Man City to go again at it, but there could be that happening again. We could be back to that kind of. If Manchester City can find that step up to that dominance, and can Liverpool, because let's be honest, last time they won the title, they fell off massively the second season. Then they had the Van Dijk injury and it just fell to pieces. So they didn't retain it very well. And I think some of them, will want to do that a bit better this time around and really sort of fight. But the fringe players like the Gakpos and all of that have come into fray as well, really, with them. So just an incredible season. And to be fair, Slot, they went behind so many times. I mean, how many times did he change things in the second half to get them back into games and win games? Sitting in that first part of the season, it seemed like they were going behind every week. And then you look at the final score and be like, oh yeah, 3-1 Liverpool. Standard. But there we go. Liverpool have won the league. There we go. We're almost at the end of our season review, but we are going to do back to the very start of our wonderful predictions. Or as we'll probably find out, not so wonderful predictions. I will preface this by saying no one got Liverpool to win the league. No one had Nottingham Forest high. No one had Manchester United and Tottenham low. Everything else are kind of up for grabs. But I'll put mine up first. Go on, then I'll take the hit early if it comes up. There we go. Wonderful. I backed you, Lucas, and look what it did to me. I've
told you guys for how many years now? How many years now have you seen me come on here and tell you, and yet you still purse first?
I trusted the process, but I did feel Man City, this was the one that they were going to, I felt that midfield was getting a bit eight, and I thought this was the one someone were going to do it. I just didn't know what Slot was going to be like at Liverpool, so I'll caveat that. But
God, you didn't get one right, did you?
I think I got Aston Villa 6th, I think was about it. I was close with Everton, Rebecca, yeah, to be fair. Everton I predicted you were. I thought Bournemouth would have a decent, but they get higher than what I sort of thought. So, apart from, I saw a few of those. Not too bad. The relegation zone is not great with Forest, and to be fair, that's a bit of a hit. That's a bit of a killer, but and there we go. We had a go. I got one right. At least I've got one right. I feel like I haven't been completely whitewashed. And then we have Mr. Grimmy. Mr. Grimmy also went for Arsenal. He went for Spurs 3rd, which Liverpool, of course did not happen. Liverpool in 5th was a brave choice from Mr. Grimmy. Wolves in 9th as well was quite impressive. Forest bottom of the league.
We've had howlers here, haven't we?
It's been an absolute nightmare. He had Ipswich in 15th as well, which unfortunately
Grimmy didn't get any.
I think same as me. I think he got Villa. I think.
Oh, Villa! Everyone says Villa
saving everybody for a point. Fulham were 11th, weren't they? So not Fulham. No, just a point for Grimmy.
Again.
Next up,
I don't want to see mine.
Shah's up next. She's got what she got. She had Man City to win the league. Arsenal, Liverpool, no, didn't get Villa. No, Spurs on 6th. I think Fulham were 11th. I think she got Fulham. Did she get Everton? You were 13th. Is that right, Rebecca? Yeah, she's got Everton.
We just all didn't take Forest seriously at all.
No one saw Forest coming, and Brentford as well. She had Bournemouth quite low as well, but she did get the bottom 3.
Trio. Yeah, but in the wrong order.
In the wrong order, so it's not too bad. I think Shah's done all right there, to be fair. And here we are, Lucas. Manchester City winning the title. Arsenal, Liverpool, and you backed Man United.
What the hell have I got West Ham up there?
You're on the Lopetegui train.
I got Forest 19th. I've had a stinker here. Brighton and Bournemouth 15th and 17th.
You got Brighton really low, 15th. And Wolves in 10th as well. And Bournemouth, you had Southampton bottom.
Southampton, yeah.
That's Southampton. We've all at least got one. And Ipswich you got, yeah.
Southampton, Ipswich.
Ipswich were 19th.
Oh, were they 19th?
Yeah.
Damn it.
So everyone's got one at least. And then I think, and then we've got Rebecca up next.
We've got Arsenal.
We've got Arsenal in second. Yeah, Villa in 3rd. Spurs, Newcastle almost. That was close enough. United in 7th. We all got sold on West Ham coming back for some reason, didn't we? I think because they did look all right the season before. To be fair,
yeah, maybe that's what it was.
I think that sold us in it, and you did get the bottom 3, Rebecca, but again, not in the correct order.
I was like the only one who didn't. Everyone got like Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth next to each other around that mid-table.
Yeah,
nah,
not having it. They're struggling, not having any of it. And then Josh, of course, he got sucked on the Arsenal train to win as well. He thought Arsenal. He did have City down in 3rd. So that's not a bad shout. Villa in 4th though. West Ham in 6th.
Chelsea 12th, I remember that.
Yeah, to be fair, did think Chelsea would tank. Everton had you high at Rebecca. Went for Everton in 11th.
And
Fancied a
Crystal
bit.
Palace finishing in 2 places as well. So
that's he's backed him twice and neither right. But who did he miss then? He must have missed a team in there. I can't remember who's the one he's not in there.
Brighton are there.
Brentford. He's missing a Brentford, I think. Missing a Brentford, and he did get Leicester were 18th. That's correct as well. So yeah, Josh, we've all got a couple, but in general, it probably wasn't great. But it's been quite an unpredictable Premier League season, to be fair. Yep. But there we are. We've brought it to a close. Thank you everyone for sticking with us. It's been nice to be live with everybody again, talking and going through the last remnants of this Premier League season for sure. We will be back doing more transfers. We've got to talk transfers coming up soon in the upcoming shows as well, because stuff is starting to happen and rumours are starting to happen. And we did think, should we cover England? And then they were tosh, so no. And then we thought, should we cover the Club World Cup? And thought, no one cares. So we'll be back in maybe next week with a transfer special or something else like that. We will be back on. But where to watch and follow these other people who are doing some wonderful things. Rebecca, where can we follow you and all your wonderful stuff that you're doing wonderfully?
You can find my personal Twitter and TikTok, which is _Rebecca_shot_. You can find my Her Game 2 content at ASFC Her Game 2, in which there will be some very exciting things coming up as the start of the season is approaching, and we're working on some really good things behind the scenes, so that's really exciting. And then you can find my F1 content with the amazing Jen, who is on the Lower League show, which is with Girls in the Grandstand, and I will be doing a takeover next week when I am at Silverstone. Exciting stuff. And of course, we've had the man, the myth, the legend back with us as well. Mr. Lucas is here. Where can we find you? And of course, I haven't got to ask you this for a while. It's the summer and I need some stuff to watch. What's on at the box office, Lucas?
Well, you can find me Box Office Lucas on TikTok for all movies, TV shows, and very topical. I'm sure Rebecca will probably be going to see it, but there is a very, very huge release coming out tomorrow. I think I'm going to go see it tomorrow as well. F1 the movie.
Ooh.
2.5 hours. Brad Pitt, Chad Stahelski. No, Chad, is that Stahelski? No, it's not. Same director of Top Gun Maverick, if you like that. So expect some pretty, but it looks phenomenal. And they did film it at Silverstone last year.
I was there when they filmed it.
There you go. So Rebecca's going to be in it. You're capturing one of the shots.
You're going to be sat there. Was that Rebecca? I'm sure it was.
So yeah, very much looking forward to doing that. So I'd say that's a good one. 28 years later was amazing. I went to see that yesterday.
Was it good? Was it? I was going to ask you about that actually. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. And TV wise, The Bear, anyone that's cooking show, that's out tomorrow. Squid Game final season out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main ones. I think there's a couple popping up, but yeah, it's been good recently. The summer's about to kick off, but yeah, F1 the movie, very much looking forward to that.
From the movie, does look good. Plenty to watch, and do check out Lucas and his stuff. We'll keep you apprised of what is there to watch over the summer. And you can catch me at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, my YouTube channel, which in a minute is just shorts because I'm preparing for the next season. Once I get all these bloody season reviews done, because the graphics for each show, I'm about halfway through, Rebecca. I think I've got 3 more. I've got to do Shah's one for League 2 now for Thursday. We've got National League next week, Championship, and then I'm done. That's it. We can park 24-25 and start preparing all the stuff for 25-26. We will get there. We'll make it through. But of course, you can and you should and you must follow the Absolute Football Podcast, where you can find us. We are still the best new content creator, Football Content Awards, which is also open for nominations for 2025. Wouldn't it be lovely? Wouldn't it be lovely to be there again? Do feel free to nominate us there. We'd absolutely love to be part of that. But we are still the best new content creator at those awards. And we do have 4 live shows a week. As you know, over the summer, if you've been watching, we are a bit sort of hit and miss, but we do have 3 live shows on this week. Absolutely Non-League will be back with their National League review next Monday. We may be back next Tuesday talking transfers. Don't know yet. We'll work it out. If not, we'll let you know, and then might drop some content if not in the meantime. big exciting coming up tomorrow on Wednesday. It is the Absolutely Women's Football Show. It's Euro 2025. The Euro 2025 preview begins tomorrow with Freya and the team. They're going to go through all the groups and all the teams, preview the England Lionesses' chances and who is looking good in that tournament. They're going to be doing watch-alongs and weekly updates on what's going on. So it's going to be pretty heavy on the women's stuff coming up soon. And, of course, Shah and the Rowdy Rabble on a Thursday with absolutely lower league. They are talking League Two season review. Rebecca's back for a season review of League Two on Thursday. A very different discussion, I think, to the Everton one, perhaps that one for Accrington. But they will be back on Thursday, so do check that out. We are Monday, Tuesday to Wednesday, Thursday at 8:30 live on X, or I shouldn't call it X, Twitter. Shah love me for that. Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube Absolute Football Podcast, and Twitch on TikTok Absolute Football Pod, Instagram Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky Absolute Football, I think, and Facebook the Absolute Football Podcast. We are everywhere. We're everywhere. And thank you, of course, you all these wonderful people in the chat who've stuck with us. It's nice to be chatting with you again, having been off live for a few weeks. So it's always great to have you guys in. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Graham. Thank you to everybody. Emily's been in the chat as well. We hope you're having a wonderful summer. And we will catch you soon. Catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.